Hi, I'm Stephanie Carrasquedo and I am a student for the Law and Ethics class. Today I'm here with my friend and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself before I ask him a couple of questions.
My name is Dennis Silva. I'm a deputy sports editor with The Monitor newspaper in McAllen.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions today. My class is basically based on what a reporter should and should not be doing, and what's right and what isn't right. And sometimes a couple of scenarios he gave us, it was based on whether your morals are right, whether they're wrong, and there was a couple of scenarios whether you had to decide whether you were going to keep your job or put your job on the line to keep someone satisfied. Okay, so a couple of questions I have today. So how does advertising ensure your work remains legal and ethical?
Basically, there's a professional line we have to abide by with advertising. They obviously have to make money. They're the ones who pretty much keep us employed, keep us with jobs. But there's also a fine line. For instance, if you advertise for, if McAllen ISD puts in an advertisement in the paper, it doesn't mean we exclusively, we have to give them coverage. But they know that, we know that from the editorial department side, they know that from the advertising side. There's an understanding that those lines do not cross. Because, or else people will think, oh, if I put an ad in the paper, that means I'm going to get something back in return. That's not what it means. Basically, you spend the money, you can get your ad in the paper, but it does not guarantee coverage of any kind editorially.
Okay.
So basically, it's a fine line, but it's a line you have to stay on both sides by because it can be very dangerous.
And how does it apply to the sports?
Well, usually you'll see a lot of schools advertise in our paper. You'll see a lot of, sometimes if teams go far in the playoffs, they'll put like, congratulations. It doesn't mean, for instance, that those teams are preferred or are favored by us. It just means basically that they paid the money, so they want to show their support. And basically, it also means that they're doing a great job, which the coverage, if they are doing a great job, they're going to get coverage anyway. And I think, for the most part, the community understands the difference between advertising and editorial. So you don't see gray areas. You see a lot of understanding what is done by advertising and what is done by the editorial aspects.
Right. Try not to look biased.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Has speech ever been censored, and if the censorship is reasonable or unreasonable?
Speech has been censored in the sense of, like, for example, say the N-word. We don't print that. But sometimes, if it's a direct quote, there can be more leniency. But it's again, that's another line where it's very touchy, and we tend to favor on the side of being just conservative. Like,
have you ever dealt with that, with the situation that way?
I've dealt with that as an editor, yes, where coach might say, I don't know if I can even say, but I'm going to say if the coach says, hey, we got our ASS kicked, and they want to put that, we'll say, we're going to put that to butt because we don't want to offend anybody, we don't have parents, and these are, after all, young kids, and when you're dealing with high school sports, like I do a lot, you want to make sure the kids are reading this stuff, so you want to always keep that in mind, and you just want to make sure, always favor on the side of conservatism whenever you're dealing with something that could be a touchy subject.
Understood. Okay. Have you ever had ethical views or changed over the years? Like, have your views on ethical or what's not ethical ever changed?
Interesting. That's a good question, but no. Usually, I came in 10 years ago as a journalist, and my views are pretty much the same. Like, what does change is you have a harder stance. For example, the advertising stuff. I might have come in as a rookie journalist thinking that, hey, maybe, that does mean they get more coverage if they're getting more ads. But no, you learn basically the do's and don'ts, and there is no gray line. You have to abide by those if you want to stay employed and if you want your credibility to be there in the community.
Right, exactly. Okay. What do you feel is a major ethical or legal challenge facing industry today? Well, and by that I mean like the sports area.
Sports ethical. I think we are seeing a little bit more freedom with the use of curse words. Like, I think 10 years ago you'd see no curse words in the paper. Whereas now there may be words that, they'll let it slip because it's just the new age we're getting into. People are more open-minded. It's not necessarily what I abide by, but I can see more, like you look online, especially online with website articles, you'll see them take a lot more freedom with things. So that's one that I see is getting more and more lenient. Other than that, there isn't really anything ethically that I see a lot of. There's instances here and there that are sporadic, but nothing that's consistent.
Okay. And How has social media and bloggers changed ethics, the way in which information is delivered?
Oof.
How do you think they have changed it?
It has changed in the fact that I think a lot more journalists are concerned with getting it first instead of getting it right. And I think that can burn you. Like, it's tough because you think, well, I got beat on this, but if you have it right, you're covering yourself. You're making sure you're assured. Whereas those people who jump to conclusions and just put something out there, they can get burned. What's working in their favor a little bit is, in this day and age, people forget. It's just so fast, the news cycle, and you don't forget. You don't really remember who broke anything first. You don't remember how they did it. You just remember the news is out there. So basically, that's how it's changed a lot. Is just so many people now are more concerned with getting it first instead of making sure they're getting the news right. And you see a lot of things that have taken a bad turn for the worse because people are just so concerned with getting their name out there in social media. And it is an emphasis, and even at the Monitor, we want to be first with a lot of stuff on social media, but we also, more than anything, we want to be accurate and we want to be right.
How do you ensure that you're always right?
By making sure we've talked to the necessary people who would know, not going off rumors or third hand or a person who may have any doubt. We talk to the people necessary that we think would know firsthand for sure, are involved, and we trust those people, and that's how we go by it.
Okay, and so as a professional sports journalist, what's your advice? What can you give me and tell me that I should be doing right, what I should not be doing to get where you're at right now?
Basically, what I would say is be right. What we just talked about, that's most important. More so than being first. I think a lot of fans out there, a lot of the audience, they don't really remember who's first. Eventually the news is going to start coming out. Just be right. Be someone that an audience knows, hey, I can go to this person because I know I'm going to get the accurate news. Be versatile. Being able to do video, being able to do be on social media, being able to do blogs, being able to do podcasts, being able to do just a lot of dynamic search stuff with the multimedia. Being able to do that will just make yourself more attractive as a candidate. And just a lot of reading, a lot of just knowledge about what you're talking about. Be comfortable and be confident in what you're covering and who you are, so that way the audience is comfortable and confident with who you are.
All right, perfect. Well, there we have it. This is Dennis, sports journalist for the Monitor, and I'm Stephanie. It was very nice talking to you today.
Appreciate it.
And that's for Law and Ethics.